and welcome to our time together. I'm Lori Lamantia, and I'm here with the beautiful Tricia Fiske.
Good morning. Hi, everybody.
So today we wanted to talk about asking, and specifically asking for abundance, but really the wisdom and the clarity and the willingness to actually make the ask.
Mm,
I was thinking about asking, and I've been kind of playing with that because in the past, I know I personally have been a little afraid to ask because, and I think I mentioned this before, the answer I always was afraid of no, and so then I got disappointed, and then so I was mitigating the disappointment. So I'm like, I'm never going to ask for anything, because I don't want to take a chance on the hurt or the disappointment. But uh, for us, what we're about here in the full understanding that abundance is everywhere and available in every way, the ask can be transformed into a clarity about what you want to experience for yourself. And so, kind of what we wanted to talk today about was getting a little bit more comfortable with asking and realizing that it's not so much an ask as it is a clarifying of what you want to create and experience, and knowing that those abundance energies are working to facilitate your every desire. Does that make sense, Trish?
hmm
And one of the things that I know, and I think this is probably a good spot for you to talk about, one of the experiences when we started even working together around conscious creating.
Right, right. So at the time, my son was turning 18 and the child support was going to end. And so I needed to get another job. And we started working together and I didn't know what I wanted that job to be. So I remember asking you that, is it okay if I don't know what the job is? But so we focused on how I wanted to feel.
Yes.
And that really, I mean, it totally worked. What ended up happening was I got a job at a Pilates studio because I'd gone through Pilates training and was certified to teach it. And it was a really cool little studio that had all the equipment and all the machines and all that fun stuff. And I started working with privates. I made some great friends with people working one on one. I remember in particular a gentleman who had Parkinson's, and um, it was just really, it was really what fulfilling and rewarding and all that great stuff. And then after a couple of months of doing that, I'm thinking maybe 6 months, was when the teacher training program started. And I went from that into training teachers to become yoga teachers. And it was just lovely. And so, one of the things I always hold in mind too, because I've seen this repeat in my life, when I ask for things, sometimes there's a series of things that happen
To get
to
you.
get to, yeah,
Yeah,
that get you
yeah,
there, right? It's
yeah.
not always boom the first time you just jump in and ta-da, you're there. There is some, but the steps along the way are all wonderful too. They're all part of it. It's like the yellow brick road kind of thing.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, that's exactly. And I think that's another brilliant thing of The Wizard of Oz, and it's worth watching every, once a year. And I love that, the ask. Sometimes we do a head ask, but what we're kind of talking about here too is a heart ask. And that's kind of what I heard from you is that I'm asking for a way to make money, but I'm asking for, and when we do it from a felt sense place, we're asking from our hearts. We feel fulfilled, satisfied, engaged contributing. I mean, those were all the feelings I was getting from you as you were telling your story. And that's a bigger, that's a rich ask almost versus a limited, I want that, and
Right.
even the request for a Maserati is going to take you on an amazing journey, right? It's not,
Right.
I mean, for some of us, we might walk into the showroom and go, yeah, I'll take that red one. But I think the journey on the ask is such a powerful part of the whole under unfoldment and experience. But again, if you're not willing to ask, if we're afraid of disappointment, or if we're afraid, we never ask for the things that'll bring us this heartful abundance experience.
Right. Right. Definitely.
And that's kind of what I thought was really important for today, for it to put into to people's consciousness, is it's okay to ask. And the answer, by the way, is yes. It's never no, it's yes. So what would you ask for? What would you ask for if you could ask for anything? What would it be? And that's kind of how we ended up getting into this topic, because I had text Trish this bizarre, numbskull text that I do all the time, like, if you could ask for anything, or if you could ask any question. But it's really that, wow, if I gave myself permission to ask with
Right.
the understanding of fulfillment, and the answer being yes, would I be willing to? Could I? And you don't have to have big asks. Little baby asks are a good way to start too. Like one day I was like, boy, I would love an apple. And then, throughout the day, an apple shows up. It's the weirdest thing. Simple
Right.
asks like that. And then there is, those other asks. But I think the key is, and I remember thinking, an ask means something outside of it outside of me is deciding. And this is where you are not only the asker, but you're the decider, and that I remember in conversations with God, Neil Walsh said, "What is prayer?" And God responded, "Prayer is a fervent declaration of what is already so." And I think that's the power we have, in not only in our ask, but also saying, I fervently declare this is so for me, in my highest and best good, and the highest and best good of everyone else, if you want to add it. But it's a declaration too of what I'm choosing for my life.
That idea, I'm going to come back to it, is something that I keep hearing all around me from all different directions right now, which is that we already have what we want. We just haven't opened our eyes to it. That we as creators have everything we need to create. We just haven't acknowledged it yet. So I think that theme keeps coming back to me over and over again about already being divine creator. Just open your eyes and see it, clean the glass off, come back to that as a truth. And then, right, then you're asking yourself, you're not asking somebody out there. You're asking yourself to allow yourself to receive.
Right. Yes. Receive what you declared, said you wanted. And like you were saying, I don't know the job. I just knew I wanted wherewithal, and I wanted a way to have expression. And then that's when synchronicities start, which to me is the response, right?
Right,
The response to the ask is synchronicities, and a book or a person or a friend, or all these unexpected gifts that come when we have the courage to ask, when we have the courage to be clear.
right. And really, as you said too, it's really important that the ask is coming from your heart and not your head. That it's really a felt sense of receiving.
Right. And a felt sense of what would bring us joy and what would be satisfying.
Mm,
And then the head, and of course, this is our job as conscious creators, is when the head goes, well, that's not going to happen, or that, you're crazy. You say, well, let's open up to possibilities. We have to teach our minds. And one of my manifestation teachers says, don't worry about it. In the back of your mind, it's still working on how to help you get there. It's when your heart makes an ask, and now I'm thinking of that beautiful Disney song, when your heart makes an ask, everything comes about to happen. And then your mind will get and help you out also. The feminine makes the ask, the masculine mind says, okay, let's figure out how to go. Let's get there. It's a beautiful synchronicity dance that we can allow ourselves to have. And I think that's also abundance in action. It's abundancing us, and I'm using abundance in a big way with a capital A here, right?
right, right. But
Um,
yeah, absolutely.
And I like what you were saying before we started the call. You said there is an aspect of surrender, which is, I might put as allow, or I might call some kind of, I asked, it's happening, I can relax. I asked, I know it's in progress, it's going to take maybe a few days or a few weeks or a few months or even a few years, but it's in play. That's that's the best you can do, and just keep staying hopeful and try not to let your mind go, I knew it. I knew you shouldn't have asked that. Never ask again. And all those little niggly things that happen that take our energy out of that heart place and start
Right,
the close off, like we talked about in the armoring.
right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, staying in that heart place and just continuing, continuing to ask. That makes me think. I have a friend who I've heard from who's very much wise and into astrology. And she was talking about, our word for the year was joy.
Mhm.
And I had sent her, she just became a grandmother. So I sent her a couple of short videos of my granddaughter. And she just texted me back and said, look in her eyes. Joy, 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 joy.
Right.
She said, you don't have to look anywhere for it. It's
Right.
right there in front of you. And so we're talking about the same thing, this asking. What you want is right there in front of you. Look at it, right? Get out of the block, which is the head, into your heart and look at everything that's flowing in front of you. I mean, we talk sometimes about just those little experiences that happen outside our window that bring us so much happiness. It's been so hot here this week. I watered my plants, my pots outside, and I overwatered all of them so that water would really run out and they were getting wet enough. And the next thing I know, I look and there's like 8 little birds rolling around in the water, drinking it and taking a
Right.
bath, right? Which of course made my cat so happy
Right.
because right there, right through that screen, there's all these birds on my porch. Those little moments when you open to them, right? They're it's a reminder that it's there.
Yes.
Open your eyes.
Yes.
Yeah,
And I love the aspect of the heart, the things that are bringing you joy is your heart intelligence speaking to you. It's the heart is the place that if we can make the more of our decisions from and make our asks from there, the more fulfilling and satisfying our lives are going to be. And I think what happened, and we talked about this last week with the armoring, but we spend a lot of time trying to protect ourselves, when
right.
our mind grabs us. So, as a part of the ask journey, it isn't, an allowing ourselves to be open, be a little vulnerable, be willing to hear our hearts. And, in our society, of course, when we're in our friend groups or whatever, that's the place we can find our true heart's desires, the place where you feel comfortable asking your friend, or telling your friend, this is what I was really thinking about, versus telling, the people around you that are just acquaintances. They just want to hear, what do you do for a living? How much do you make? What do you drive? What's your stock portfolio or whatever it is. And this ask that we're talking about isn't the one you take to a cocktail party. It's the one you take to your best friends, the one you're willing to say, this is the one I really want. This is the one
Right.
that I think is the one that is gonna really unfold me in a beautiful and abundant way. Um, so there is a little bit of a difference, but it doesn't matter. The willingness to ask is the key, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and to ask it means you're really reflecting. You're
Mm.
reflecting on what you really want, and that's important too. And allow possibilities like, what about that? What about that? And how does it resonate?
I think there is some aspect, and this is again the surrender piece, is the ask is happen. Once you've put, oh, this is what I'd like to feel. This is what I'd like to experience. The how it's going to happen, the when it's going to happen, the where it's going to happen. That's where we surrender, because
Right, right.
then now this unlimited is orchestrating on your behalf. And the one thing I know for sure is it's way more intelligent. It's got way bigger of a perspective, and it's going to have way more fun fulfilling me than I might have given myself permission to
Yes.
do. Right? So there
Yes.
is an aspect of surrender, and it's not giving up. It's, whoa, surprise and delight me. I have no idea how this is going to come about, but I know it's in capable hands,
Right.
and it's really your bigger hands connected with everybody else's bigger hands, right?
I was going to say, yeah, go back to that because it's not outside of me now. It's inside of me, but
Right.
it's like circulating instead of just being stuck in one place. It's like moving through the whole.
Yes. And I think that's why, one of the first shows we did was it's done, it's done, it's done. And that, when we have that willingness to make a fervent declaration, or at least, or even, boy, this would be nice with not too much attachment, it's so much easier for the flow of life to unfold the synchronicities for us.
Right.
Um,
Yes.
because we can get in the way with our thoughts about what should happen, how it should happen, who it should happen with, all that good stuff.
Right.
Um,
All that. All that. Yes. And then we just put roadblocks up.
right. But then we get in our own way and then we get all mad. Well, it didn't happen. It's like, well, you tried a little too hard and you kind of got maybe a little bit in your own way, but that's okay too. One of the things I know for sure is that intelligence could even work with that, right? It can work around that. It can work with your agreements, your beliefs, your understandings, or whatever. But it is worth checking to see if there's some reason why you're not believing it could happen, what belief is in there. That's the dig on the beliefs that might be getting in the way of your ask, because technically ask and it's given. Make the declaration, it's in progress. So if there's something that you might be feeling that's, not excited or looking forward to it or knowing, why is that? It might be worth a dive.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
So I hope we're kind of, I know this is short, and this is a big topic. Obviously, every topic we try and tackle is a big topic, but the willingness to make an ask, meaning this is what I'd love to experience in my life, or I would or these are the little things I need right now. There's the
Right.
big asks, there's the medium asks, there's the today ask, and it's okay, but it's really, this is the experience of my heart, and it could just be I really want a lovely meal, or I want to try this new coffee I bought, or whatever it is. And then let yourself surrender or release or allow it to unfold in a natural and beautiful way. Um, and I think this is a good spot for your the poem that you prepared.
Oh, okay. So there's this wonderful book called For Lovers of God Everywhere by Roger Housden. And it's poems of the Christian mystics. And this poem is by St. Thomas Aquinas, and it's Ask Anything. Ask anything, my Lord said to me, and my mind and heart thought deeply for a second, and then replied with just one word, when. God's arms then opened up, and I entered myself. I entered myself when I entered Christ. And having learned compassion, I allowed my soul to stay.
Mm. And I love that. Ask anything, my love. Ask anything. That is truly the way of abundance. Ask anything. His ask was when. When do I get to join you in bliss? And the answer
Right.
was right now.
Yeah.
And I love that. And because I learned compassion, I allowed myself to stay. And I think that's the answer to this too, is when we make the ask, we have given ourselves the compassion to know we can stay in the knowing that it is underway and it is happening. I think that's a perfect way to wrap this up. Is there anything else you'd like to add here?
Nothing to add. No.
Awesome. Well, everyone have a wonderful weekend. And it's okay to ask and have fun asking and give yourself the chance to ask. Write it down and say thank you. It's done. It's done. It's done. Have a great week. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.